Welcome to the Onruststokerz podcast. As you noticed, this podcast episode is in English. Yama is our guest today, so welcome Yama. And so now and then, Yama and I, or Michael and Yama, will lead the podcast, and then our episodes will be in English. Today, in this podcast episode, we will talk about marketing and macroeconomics. And we will look at the challenges and opportunities in front of us and what we can expect in 2025. So, Yama, since you're more the macroeconomics guy, I'm curious about what you think. What's the current market situation, and do you have any ideas about what's ahead of us?
Yeah, first of all, I'm really looking forward to the series together. To answer your question, the market situation or the market conditions right now is a bit uncertain. There are a lot of opportunities coming along, but also uncertainties. We just had the election in the US with Donald Trump coming into the administration. Which of course brings a lot of opportunities in the market, but also a lot of uncertainties. At the same time, in Europe, we have the German government having a new election coming in a few months, first quarter in 2025. In France, we're looking for a new prime minister. So what does it mean in general for markets? What it means is uncertainty. Companies do not know how to handle the situation, which brings us, of course, to the point when it comes to investment. Are we going to make investments? Are we taking risks? And there are a lot of questions not really answered yet. And on the other hand, we have the central banks, which are cutting the rates. And that means with more cuts, more liquidity is, of course, coming into the market, which is a good sign. So we are having cuts from the central banks. The market needs more liquidity. And with more liquidity, we will have more confidence as in the market, but also companies to use the money and invest and also use it in marketing, right?
Yeah. So what I hear is like a lot of uncertainties, but also a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, definitely. I personally think 2025 can become a really good year. So if the central banks cut even more, and at some point in Germany, they call it the Schuldenbremse. So if we get rid of the Schuldenbremse, that means we will have more stimulus packages, which is always positive for the economy. What the long-term effects will be, we see it right now. The long-term effects from the last almost 2 decades, high inflation. Now, when we go into the supermarket, everything has become more and more expensive. And that's the reason actually are those cuts and those packages in the last since 2008, because we pumped more and more money into the market. The central banks and governments were printing. Well, this is the long-term effect. And we can have our talk about that, if it's good or not. But in the first place, of course, it's a good sign because money comes into the market. Companies can borrow money for quite cheap and invest into innovations and in expansions, in growth, in marketing, which are in the first place a good sign.
And if we look back at 2024 and you look at macroeconomic trends and how did they influence marketing strategies, do you have something to say about that?
Well, I can talk here about our own experiences with our clients in 2024, what we experienced. And what we saw is a lot of companies and a lot of clients we work with are focused on mainly on one content type when it comes to marketing, and mostly also only focus on one channel. And the biggest challenge we see and we saw in 2024 is most companies do not have or do not follow a strategy. And that makes it really difficult in the long term to talk to your target group and be consistent in your marketing, in your content creation. So what we experience, there's a lack in strategy in the first place, and which leads to focus on one channel, for example. And that makes the whole thing very, very difficult. And in 2025, what we are hoping and also experiencing and advising to our own clients are to have first of all, have a strategy, but also be omnichannel. That means when it comes to content creation in marketing, it is not enough anymore to just have one content type. Let's say to just focus on blog articles, right, or SEO only. You need an omni-channel. How is your experience? What do you expect?
Yeah, in general, I totally agree. The thing is, like, if you look at the how marketing evolves, you see that where, for example, a more text-based audience platform like LinkedIn is also moving to a video platform.
Right.
So as we believe, video will be a big part of your marketing strategy, of a successful marketing strategy in 2025. And I think you also see it, for example, if we look at macroeconomics involvements in elections. If you don't press the right buttons on social media, you will not be the president for sure. Yeah. If you look at Donald Trump, for example, he is like, a social media legend, if you like it or not.
Yeah, true. Yeah, absolutely.
So, for me, if you look fast forward to 2025, I think it's not about creating more content, it's about creating smarter content. Because I tell this to my clients a lot. Like, I think companies or organizations always have the idea like, hey, but I'm not creative enough to think about content. I don't have enough to tell. But if you look at your day and tell me what you're doing actually the entire day, I think you already producing a lot of content, but you don't film it. And if you take a good look at what you're doing and how you can make content of the things you're already doing and distribute that about through the channels you have to be available on, then it's not about creating more content, but it's about creating smarter content and distribute it on a smarter way.
Absolutely, I agree. It's very interesting you're saying, because first of all, we do also believe that video is becoming more and more important. And when I have discussion or conversations with our clients, I ask them, what do you do actually? When you put yourself in the shoes of your own client, or you're a client for someone else, how is your behavior on daily basis, right? What do you consume? And I'm a consumer, you're a consumer, and what do we do? And I can talk about myself, is mostly what I consume are videos, and it's getting more and more and more, right? It started with YouTube. Now we have, of course, Snapchat, Instagram, and like you mentioned, LinkedIn is moving and pushing video so much. We see it in our own content, right? The first videos I created had like few conversions or impressions. And now you see, because of this push on LinkedIn, it has thousands of impressions and views. So video is becoming a huge pillar in 2025. I totally agree on this. But what we see and where we see the challenge is most of the companies do not have the strategy for videos. And that's our experience in 2024. A lot of companies approach us and say, hey, we need a video. And when we go deeper and ask them, okay, what is your goal actually? Yeah, we want to put it on our website or on our social. Okay, but what do you want to achieve with this video? After asking a few questions, they tell you, well, we want to increase our lead generation. We want more customers. We want to increase our revenue. And that's the point where we say, okay, you don't need just one video. What you need is actually a strategy. And with the strategy, then we take the next step and talk about the customer journey, understanding the end customer, and then creating content along the customer journey.
Yep.
And that's when we see and also our clients realize, okay, having the strategy is so important because I don't need just one video. What I need in the first place is a strategy, but also a consistency. Because what we see mostly, companies come or clients, they want to have a video, and what is most of the videos, what is it? It's a commercial or branding. And when we talk about the customer journey, we have in this funnel, we have 3 stages, right? You have the awareness stage, the consideration stage, and the decision stage. And what we experience and what we see in the market, 95% of the companies, if they generate videos or they create videos for the decision stage. So they focus on the decision stage, claiming, okay, this is our product and service, buy it. But they just ignore or forget or don't even know about the first 2 stages, which is awareness stage, consideration stage, and then leading the customer to the decision stage video.
Yeah, and most oftenly they generate an awareness stage video. They are like, hey, I want the brand awareness video. I want an introduction video of my company. They're going to advertise with it and then complain like, hey, I didn't gain the results I thought of. So it's so important to have your goal already clear before you're going to make the video, because otherwise the video won't work. And like you already said, that's another question I wanted to ask you. What's the role of consistency? Because just one video isn't enough. You can have one viral video, but that won't gain you the authority status you want to achieve.
A very good question. I believe consistency is everything, because to just make it very simple, if you want to build muscle, and what do you want to do? You want to go to the gym just once and then you're Arnold Schwarzenegger? I don't think so, right? So when it comes in life and in business, and especially in marketing, what you need is consistency. So strategy, and then you need consistency. Otherwise, muscles are not coming just by itself.
Yeah, true. So, if we look at the global economic environment in 2024, such as geopolitical shifts and deglobalization, how does it affect marketing in 2025, do you think?
Very difficult to answer, to be honest, because if we see the whole thing from a global perspective, we're moving to deglobalization in general. I think it already started before COVID. I think we had the peak in 2018 around. Governments, countries, and also companies, especially with COVID and after COVID, realized, okay, we need to go back to our homeland. So bringing everything back. We see it in logistics, and especially when companies are focusing more and more to produce within the country, and the market becomes even more important in this case. That means we right now are in the European Union. The European Union as a market becomes even more important. The German economy, or the German market, or the Dutch market, the consumers within the market become even more important, because companies realize, okay, this is our primary market, and therefore investing into these markets is crucial.
Right.
Not only in 2025, but we see a general shift, not just because of Donald Trump in general. So the deglobalization as a trend is really clear and visible. So we as a company, for example, we need to understand the shift, and we need to emphasize and put the effort even more on home markets, how we can even better reach our clients in future in 2025 and above, to deliver the right products, the right services with the right message. And that's what I think.
And do you already see a shift in 2024? So, for example, when in the year 2023, companies were more focused about going to approach markets abroad, or they're shifting back to the Netherlands, or do you see a shift in focus?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, I think COVID was an accelerator here. Governments, but also companies, they saw the problems they have with outsourcing everything to Asia, to far away countries. We saw a lot of problems with logistics. And it's already happening since COVID. Everything is more and more coming back, and I think, I don't know how it exactly gonna play out in the long term, to be honest. But focusing more on your home markets is becoming more important now.
A fun fact is I read an article about Amazon, and Jeff Bezos told a long time ago that nobody wants to wait longer than a day on their delivery. But you see, market potential is gained by, for example, a Shine and Temu. Yeah. And they're offering a longer delivery date.
Yeah.
So it's also interesting to look to other perspectives. If you have something else to give to your customer, then you can reduce on some other benefits. So.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Actually, I watched a documentary on Netflix the other day. It was called Buy Now, I think, if I'm not wrong. I'm sorry. And the documentary is really about the behavior we develop consuming. And actually, in this documentary, Netflix plays a very big role, because they made it so efficient from the moment you order until the moment you get the product delivered. It's instantly, right? So, and that's what we as a population developed in the last few years. It's instant. Everything has become instant, right? I want it right now. And to go back to your question, can we expect also consumer shifts in behavior? I think we in general in future, not only 2025, but we will see shifts. Like you said, we need to say, okay, it will take longer, but that's okay for me. This instant getting something, I always felt something is wrong with it, and now it becomes even more obvious.
Yeah, and I'm curious about your thought about this, because I think that's something we as marketers created ourselves, because we say we have a 1-day delivery date, or competitors offering a 1-day delivery date. So we are already calling with our transporting company, the distribution company, like, hey, we should offer the same because that's the new standard. So we should offer it as well. While actually Temu and Shine is showing that if you can offer other benefits, they're fine with it. So
I absolutely agree. I think if we as marketers, we are definitely part of the problem. So I think we should be also able to criticize ourselves because we created this whole thing about getting everything instantly. So I want it now. And if we can go and create a new era where everything is healthy, right? Where you actually looking forward to get something is better than getting it right away. Because in German we call it Vorfreude, right? It's something like you wait. Like now we have in Christmas time, right? So this time where you wait for something is actually much better than the moment you get it, because you enjoy, right?
And I think there is a lot of potential, especially for us marketers, because I totally agree with you. For example, when you book a holiday, you're more excited before the holiday starts than when you're actually in the plane. So where I think there is a lot of opportunities for the marketers is in the waiting time. So, for example, if you have finished your order, you want to be updated. For example, if you are at a pizzeria, you see the pizza in the oven and you see the process. So you're already excited about the pizza you're getting in front of you. But when I order something online, most oftenly I don't get a message. I don't hear anything. Yeah, we have transport is busy because it's Black Friday or whatever. Well, if you keep adding value in between this process, then you will have the excitement of waiting on your product, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had also the problem with this table here, right? We can be honest, because we are used to it, right? We ordered the table online, and we didn't hear anything in between. And we as customer, we actually were running after the company for, I think, 2 weeks. We were waiting, but there was no communication, right? And one message after the next message, every time they promise something, and then nothing happens. So, on one hand, delaying the time until you get a product, I think in the long term can be a shift in the consumer behavior, which is okay. But on the other hand, companies need to become more professional to, like you said, create value in time. If it takes time, that's okay, but you need to be clear about it, communicate it. And that's what makes a good company, the difference between a good company and a company which still needs to become more professional, more efficient, and more target group or client oriented.
Yeah, and I think if you take an example, I know it's an open door, but Coolblue is really good at it. For example, I have contacted the support, then I get a written card delivered to my office, and I'm even more excited on waiting on my product.
Yeah.
So actually, it doesn't have to be that complicated to add value to the process.
No, especially we have all the opportunities when it comes to softwares on new technologies, right? And now AI. I feel like it's everyone is talking about AI, but we need to talk about AI here. So with AI, new doors will be open, new opportunities are coming along the way for companies no matter which size. And all this can be used in a good way, which makes the customer journey even more efficient and better. And at the end of the day, that's also your marketing, right?
So Yama, let's wrap up 2024. What's your experience about video marketing and content creation?
Well, what we experienced this year is that more and more companies realize the power of video. They want to do more video, create more video. And in general, they understand that it's becoming more important, especially to target their audience. But they do not understand, or they lack the understanding of having a strategy. And most clients, or a lot of companies we talk to, they feel like creating just one video is enough. And mostly, I think we talked about it earlier about it. When we see the customer's journey funnel, you have the 3 stages: awareness stage, consideration stage, and decision stage. And 95% of companies create videos for the decision stage, which are mostly commercials, branding videos. These videos like screaming to buy my product and my service, and competing with the rest of the market. So we see that there is an understanding of the importance of video marketing, but a huge lack of strategy and consistency.
And do you think, of course, when they collaborate with a company like yourself, like Buildsterk or Online Marketing Bakery, it's our task to help them creating that strategy. But do you have any tips for them? For example, you're a marketing manager at a company, how to create such a strategy yourself?
Well, it starts with understanding your target group, right? The needs, that's what I say always. You need to understand the needs, the pain points, the desires of your target group, depending on the solutions, on your product and on your services you're offering. And once you understand your target group, then that's why I always talk about you need to go back and create content along the customer journey, right? The funnel I was talking about earlier. And it is not enough just to create one video, the decision video, the commercial video. You need to find your audience. You need to educate your audience, and then you serve the last video, the decision stage video, the commercial, the testimonial, the case study video to convert them.
Yeah. And what do you think companies need to learn about video marketing?
I think, again, with video marketing, companies need to understand that it's not just a one-time project. That's what we experienced in 2024. A lot of companies approach us. They didn't understand the importance of video, like I mentioned before. They're really into it to create a video, but they think this is a one-time project. So creating one commercial, I can solve all my problems. We once had a prospect. We were talking this year, and we had 2 meetings with them. I asked them, what do you want to create? What is the goal? And they said, we want to create a very high quality and production branding film. So I asked again, I said, what is the goal of this video? And they said, we're creating this equipment and we operate globally, but our wholesalers, especially in Asia, are not really doing what we're expecting. So the sales perspective. And I asked again, what else are you targeting to solve with this video? They said, okay, we also want to recruit new talents and we want to increase the revenue. So you're laughing. That's exactly, that was my reaction without being rude. What they thought was, okay, we are creating one branding video, a high-end branding video, and we are going to solve all three different problems we are having. And that's exactly the problem here. Companies need to understand that video is not a barbecue sauce for everything. So we need to have a strategy. We need to have different content for different goals. So if you want to create more, recruit more talents, you need a different strategy, different content, because you have a different target group, right? They have a different pain point or desire. The reason why they should join your company is not mostly shown in a branding video, maybe, but why should they join your company? The same goes for your client. Why should they buy your product? Then first they need to understand their own problem. So you need to educate them, and then you offer them your solution. So having just one video and trying to solve all these problems is not really the solution.
Yeah, I think you explained it very well, because I think you can compare it to buying a pair of shoes. I think video is like could be a solution for like most of the marketing problems, but you can't solve three different problems with one video. Compare it to a pair of shoes. So I want to walk on the beach. Yeah, then I need flip-flops or sandals or whatever. But when I want to climb a mountain, then I need mountain shoes.
Exactly.
When I want to go for a run, then I need running shoes. You can't find one pair of shoes for all the different solutions. That's the same thing with video. If you want to recruit new talent, you need a recruitment video. If you want to increase brand awareness, you need a brand awareness video. If you want to gain new clients, you need a consideration video, and so on and so on.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, I agree.
And it's our task as marketing experts to gather this information into the world.
Yeah, I think this is a challenge. I think, we saw it this year in 2024. There is, of course, the danger for us marketeers when we try to educate our own clients and tell them, we understand what you're looking for, but this is what you actually need. I mean, you run risk to lose the prospect, right? Because they came for one video with the hope to solve all these problems. And now you tell them, well, you need a strategy and you need different content for different problems to solve. And now for them, it's not easy to accept it and to say, okay, we will go with this solution.
Yeah. But if you ask me, I rather have a discussion beforehand than afterwards, because if you're in front of each other and you can say to each other like, hey, this is your problem and this is what you need, then you have the benefit that you're being honest in the first second. Then maybe they go to another company, but in the end they won't be happy, and you haven't gathered anything if you finish the collaboration with a unsatisfied client.
Yeah, so absolutely. I think it's our duty also to educate and tell them, hey, this is what actually works for you or will work for you. And if they're not happy and they want to go and somewhere else and get the one solution, but they hope it will solve their problems, like you said, at the end, it will not work, and maybe they will understand later on and then come back. You never know.
Exactly. Let's hope.
Absolutely.
So Yama, why are companies in general struggling with marketing?
That's a very good question. From my perspective, I think it's consistency. Most of the companies, they understand the importance of marketing, and they're eager to try something. And that's what we always see with our own clients and prospects when they come to us, and what they did before. They come up with a new idea. They saw it somewhere on social media. They read a blog article, and this is the new marketing. They come with the content, try it for a few weeks, maybe 1 to 3 months. Results are not really showing up because, of course, of the short period, and they think it's not working. And they change to another strategy or the latest marketing trend. So there's no consistency. And but I always say is the lack is of having the strategy, understanding, and then comes consistency. And I think this is the biggest challenge what companies face.
Yeah, and I totally agree, because if you compare it to so many things in life, if you don't have a goal, it's very difficult to reach the destination. If I'm just going to drive around and I have to go to France, but I don't have I don't have to set a dot where I want to be in France. I can arrive in Bordeaux. I can arrive in Paris. It's very difficult. And what do you advise entrepreneurs who want to be visible but don't want to be in front of the camera? I think, to be honest, this is a quite big of a problem we see very often.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, because especially this year we had a lot of talks with a lot of prospects, with a lot of clients who want to do more marketing, but struggling, and especially in the phase of an entrepreneur building a business, the most times what I hear is, yeah, but I don't want to be in front of the camera. I mean, marketing worked 100 years ago or 50 years ago like this, but content marketing is changing, and we as consumers are changing, and people are buying from people. Today's customer, they want to know the company owner. They want to have a connection with the product, with the service they are purchasing. They want to hear the story. And if an entrepreneur is reluctant or is afraid to be in front of the camera telling his own story, there's no connection, there's no storytelling. And that makes it more difficult for him in the long term to be successful, because his clients, his customers want to hear his story, right? And that's the talk what we had this year with a lot of clients. If you want to take the next step, there's no other way than taking the step and showing yourself, being present and being in front of the camera.
And I think I always tell entrepreneurs and business owners, like, hey, if you experience the benefits, then you're going to love standing in front of the camera. Because if somebody listens to your podcast, for example, and you publish a podcast every month, your podcast episode is like 1 hour. And they listen to it every month. You publish 12 episodes a year. That means that they listen to you 12 hours per year.
Yeah.
Imagine the difference to your sales cycle if somebody has already listened to you for 12 hours. So if you're in front of me in the table, in front of the table, then you have the feeling you already know me. So
absolutely.
Well, this is the first time I see you.
Yeah.
And the sales cycle will be very, very short compared to somebody that doesn't know me at all.
Yeah, you're already sold, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very good point you're making here. And just going back, I mean, I'm actually the best example, because we are a film production company in the first place, a marketing company, and I've always been in not in front of the camera, on the other side of the camera, right? Oh. And even me, for me, it took some time to say to realize and say, okay, no, I need to go and I need to be in front of the camera as well. And the other point you made is, yeah, I absolutely agree. Is someone you listen to, you see the person. And put yourself in the shoes of a client, because you're a client as well, right? Yeah. I'm a client. I'm a customer, and from which company? From whom am I buying? Right? At the end of the day, the person I feel connected, the person I feel I know the story behind, and that's the reason. The trust we're building. It's at the end of the day, it's all about trust. Right. Yeah, exactly.
You want to experience the least risk for your purchase. So
absolutely, yeah, I agree.
And what's your advice for companies to include in their marketing strategy for 2025?
What we saw in 2024 was that a lot of clients and companies focus too much on just one content type. For example, let's say podcasts or just blog articles. And they only focus on one channel. And our advice for 2025 would be having the right strategy, including an omnichannel presence. That means that's what we're doing right now. Video podcast, right? We have our blog articles. We have our commercials, video, but we are also doing now podcast. So omni-channel presence will be very important in 2025.
Yeah. I think people are not aware of the possibilities you have today with content. If you have one video podcast, you can make a blog article out of this transcript. You can use the video podcast as long form content on YouTube. You can use the audio on the several podcast channels. You can use the snippets out of the podcast on publishing on social media. You have so many possibilities, but people aren't aware of the possibilities they have.
Yeah.
So if you ask me, I totally agree. And I think 2025 is not about producing more content. It's about looking for a smarter way to distribute your content.
Yeah. And here we go. We have different touch points, right? I watch your YouTube video. I read your blog article. I listen to your podcast. I see your videos on social media. And then I know so much about you, your company, the services you provide. And I know what I need. And the next step is so much easier.
Yeah. And an objective I hear very often is like, hey, but for example, a B2B company, but yeah, my target audience isn't walking around on TikTok. And when you have a B2C brand, my target audience isn't using LinkedIn. And I'm like, hey, but they're everywhere. So you should also be everywhere if it doesn't cost you any more effort. If you can use the content you already have in your library, then push it also to the channels you're not using yet, because your target audience is also using those channels.
Exactly. It's a very good point you're making, because especially in B2B, I personally think there's a lot of potential, and especially in B2B, that's what we hear as well. I mean, at the end of the day, if it's B2C or B2B, who is sitting on the other side of the desk? It's a human, right?
Yeah.
They want to be entertained. They want to be informed, like in B2C, right? So why not bringing all these opportunities to B2B marketing? And that's what we experience. And we hear the same thing. But we are on a B2B. B2B doesn't need it. I think B2B needs it as much as B2C, because at the end of the day, we're talking to people, to humans, and it doesn't matter if it's B2C or B2B. It will work.
No. People are doing business with other people, so
people are buying from people. True. Yeah.
Nice.